Heat Ratio Sports Network. The show brings the temperature of sports to a whole new level. Whether it's a local opinion or a national agenda, everything is fair game. Remember, everyone has an opinion, but only few can back it up. Now sit back, crank up the volume, and if you think you can handle it, get ready for the heat.
We're live. It's been a while, boys. We are live right now. Heat Ratio Live, brought to you by Prime Roofing and Steam Pump. But we are not on location tonight because what we are doing now is we're doing a little remote thing because some people are sick, some people have commitments. It is what it is. This is the new world that we live in, but we're very comfortable bringing you some heat when it comes to sports talk. So give us a follow at Heat Ratio Sports on all social formats, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Instagram, whether it even be TikTok. We got a little TikTok action happening real soon. I'm really excited about that. But you got Dan, you got Tony, you got Al, we got special guests. We got Lexi coming in at about 8 o'clock. You're going to give her a follow as well. She talks Detroit basketball, which is going to be cool. And she's going to be talking about all things NBA. She's going to be joining us on a weekly basis, so I'm a little excited about that. She's going to join us at 8 o'clock. But boys, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about. We can talk about Phillies. Okay, we're going to talk a very, very interesting topic called the top 5 athletes of all time. And it's a very intriguing list. I've seen this done. I want to get the thoughts from the audience. I want to get the thoughts from everybody to see what they're thinking as well. We're going to talk a little NBA. It's AI's birthday. Happy birthday, AI. We're going to talk a little Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics finals action. Talk about how Al Horford decides to be a fraud in Philly but play everywhere else. Don't know what's going on with that. But Joe Girardi, we got to start right with the Phillies before we get in the NBA with Lexi, because she'll be joining us in a little bit. Finally, right? I think we say 5. I wish I had the Rock on, right? To be like, finally, Al is Al's a WWE guy, and he knows when you get the Rock going, right? Finally, Joe Girardi is gone, and I think, Dan, I'm gonna defer to you real fast because I know you are the baseball guy. You really are. You follow it, with a fine-tooth comb. And I just watched those 3 games over the weekend and knew there was a different energy level, knew there was a different excitement about the clubhouse, and that means a lot. You say what you want, okay? I don't want. I think he mismanaged the bullpen. I think he relied way too much on analytics. I really do. But at the end of the day, you have to know your players. When you don't have a clubhouse that enjoys playing the game, there's a problem. I'm a coach. I know when my kids aren't happy, they're not going to play well. They give an attitude. They give problems. They're teenagers, want to smack them around a little bit, but you can't do that with pro athletes. So, Dan, were you surprised it took this long? Were you surprised that, Rob Thompson is the interim manager? Were you surprised that they won 3 games in a row? What do you take away from this Phillies move?
Well, first off, neither one of us should be surprised. We were having angst towards Joe Girardi last year. And then at the beginning of the year, I remember one of our shows, we were just not liking the way he was managing the bullpen, resting players in the first 2 weeks of the season. We're like, what's going on? But when they really should have hammered him was when they blew that 7-1 lead in the 9th inning to the Mets. That was the definition of time to cut bait. And then what Harper said at the press conference in Atlanta, you got to win that game. Remember I said to you, when you got big bats like this and they have dramatic type moments, you can't have the bullpen lose those moments. It kills momentum. It kills streaks. And I think twice this year Harper hit bombs to put them in the lead, and the bullpen blew it. And to your point with the new blood in the dugout with Thompson, Harper hits a grand slam. They blew it. He ties the game up. Next inning, they give up the lead. I say a week ago, they would have lost that game. They kept the mojo going, and then Bryson Stott hits the game-winning home run. So they're not always pretty, but there's definitely an energy level. And I have zero concern about Rob Thompson as a manager. Because look, Tone, my philosophy with baseball is it is the easiest sport that any layman could step into a dugout and manage. I believe I could manage game day right now. I'm not crapping you, Al. I could manage game day right now. I don't know about how to run a clubhouse. I don't know how to run a practice, but I could make any managerial move that any major league manager can make. I can't call plays in basketball. I can't design great inbound passes in basketball. I have know nothing about designing plays in football. You get my point. I know nothing about how to do things in hockey, but any guy that grew up playing baseball can pinch run, know what pitcher to pull and put in the game. And honestly, with the DH, it's so easy, for crying out loud. I mean, this should have been Joe Girardi's alley. He had all those mashers in New York, and that's probably why he was successful. There's not much thinking that needs to be done other than managing a bullpen.
No,
and he failed at that.
He did. And here's the thing. Everybody talked about, they were trying not to make him the scapegoat. And people consistently said, hey, look what they did with the bullpen. They bring in that Corey Knebel, who was a stiff last year. He's proven to be, pretty much a stiff this year. He can't be relied upon. We already know that, right? Familia doesn't even know how to cover first base when he needs to do it. So we already know he's got some issues. So until we have young guys, and let's not even beat the dead horse. We talked about there's no scouting. The pitching sucks. They do not bring anybody of any substance through the farm system up to actually contribute out of the bullpen like contenders do. But we all knew this, fellas. We knew this when we signed these guys. We knew this was going to be a softball team. We knew that they were just going to swing for the fences. The only reason why this bullpen that lost 14 games, by the way, lost 14 games by 1 or 2 runs this year because of the bullpen. The only reason why they're even talked about is because the bats were silent. Right? The bats went silent. If those bats aren't silent and they're playing well, we're not even talking about the bullpen because Nola, right. Nola looks better. Eflin looks better, right? Gibson, okay, minus the last start, but he can still be an innings eater. Not to get, no pun intended, like a Joe Blanton. That's why we got him from Oakland the year that we won the World Series, right? So same thing. But Al, were you shocked? So I'm sure you watched the game or watched the highlights, but were you shocked that they responded so quickly with so much energy after he was gone?
I don't know. I think I need a bigger sample size. I think I need probably 15 games. And
a better team, right, Al?
Huh?
And a better team. The Angels were perfect medicine.
Yeah, give me a better sample size, and then I could tell you if it really meant anything. I mean, you say some things happened, but we did hit. We didn't have a 2-run game. We didn't have a 1-run game. So how you going to measure it off of hitting? You know me. I say the same thing in basketball. I say the baseball, football. It's not all on the coach. The players play. So, I mean, you just said it. You just said we weren't hitting. That's not his fault. We getting pitchers coming in. We may not agreed with the pitchers that were coming in, but they still have to do their job. So if they don't do their job, that's not his fault. He brought them in. You may have said, why did he bring Joe Smo in and he should have brought this guy in? All right, that's debatable. But the person that he brings in, he still has to do his job. That's not his fault that he was giving up runs. I mean, I'm in a mindset that as soon as we get a lead, that the next half inning, it's going to be given up. It's like automatic now. But that's bad. That's bad thinking of a fan that the next half inning, not the next inning, the half inning is going to give up the lead immediately. And most times it does. So, I mean, everybody got what they wanted. He's gone. Now let's see what happens from here.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. This is what I'm going to say. The last thing I'll say about Girardi is the one thing that's changed is we all know he doesn't like to play the young guys, Right. So it was
Sounds
great.
familiar.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does sound familiar, man. It does sound familiar. We'll get to your boy Doc later. But so that's what was great about that weekend, because you saw, and I don't think it was, listen, I don't think it was a coincidence. I don't think it was a coincidence that Bryson Stott got up there with more confidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that Alec Boehm, even though we kill him, that all of a sudden he played some pretty good defense at third, and he finally, his bat awoke. It finally was awoke that weekend. So a lot of things happened. There was one play to me that summed up the Joe Girardi era. And it wasn't even a play, but it was a move. And it has to do with the young guys. You have Mickey Moniak, who was the hottest guy in spring training. Unfortunately, gets a freak injury, right? He comes back up. What way? So here's my issue. What way do you build confidence? You build confidence by letting your young kid get up there in a situation that lets him build confidence. But right away, what do? You pinch hit for him for no reason, and all of a sudden his confidence just goes right to shit, man. And that's the problem with me. That's the issue, and that's what I had with Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi, to me, will always be a really good manager. Never a great manager, a good manager. He was a good manager with some prime time talent. Let's not forget that. Some prime time talent. So, you know what? You're, absolutely. Now, one thing I will say is I don't think he manages again, in my opinion. I think he's done. I think he checked out so much this year that he finally said, you know what? I'm good. I'm done. Right? Which, hey, man, hats off, Joe Girardi. I liked him as a catcher. I could tell you he did not have the same energy as a manager that I expected. Right? He didn't go to bat for his guys the way I expected. And don't think for 1 second that your cornerstone player, Bryce Harper, had nothing to do with this. Don't think for a second that he never said, look, I'm not saying you what to do, but this isn't working. We need to do something. That he knows, everybody knew that the move had to happen.
One quick thing, Joe.
What's up?
One quick thing. I noticed, and you know what? You don't hear stuff like this because they don't want to give you the insights. But in his press conference, he was like, yeah, well, he didn't say Girardi's name, but he just basically said, I'm different than him. I'm going to talk to the players. I'm going to interact more with them. I'm going to have individual conversations. And then as soon as he was gone, Girardi was gone, they said he never did that with any player. Any player. He barely talked to the players. It's a different era. It's 2022. I mean, maybe you gotta do those things now.
You do have to do those things.
Feel more comfortable when you're talking to him. And yes, I went to you last night. How you feeling, man? He put an example like, I'm gonna ask the player. Yes, I know you did 2 days in a row, but how you feeling today? Girardi would just make the decision. He wouldn't even ask the player. He'd just make it off the top of his head. So those type of things, maybe it's bigger than we think it is.
Oh, it's definitely bigger. And everything was robotic. And now we finally have a guy who goes, you heard him on the morning show, say goes by gut a lot. He respects analytics, but doesn't rely solely on analytics. Goes by his gut. And you have to be able to do that as a coach. Gut feel is huge. And speaking of gut feel, we're going to bring our guest in, hopping right on the Rise and React Media hotline. We're going to talk a little NBA. We're going to shift to NBA because we got a series, boys. We got a 1-1 series. Jordan Poole looked like something out of one of those Cracker Jack box prizes because he was just going off. And the question I have just surrounding about Steph, is there enough? And we're going to bring Lexi in right now. Lexi, go follow at Go Blue Lexi 117 Detroit content news. She's going to be contributing here with us at HRS. Does a ton of stuff. She is Michigan. She bleeds yellow and blue. I know that. Thanks for joining us.
That's great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And listen, we got to get right. We got to go right to these finals because, I was live on the air. Obviously, I do Sirius every Sunday night, 9:11, and we were doing live bets, and we're like, I think it was 52-50 at half, and it was like, look, if there's a way that Boston wins this game, it's over. It's over. You took 2 games for Golden State, and all of a sudden, Steph and Jordan Poole went off. Lexi, is Steph enough Like, because I feel like obviously Clay is a figment of himself, and because he's injured, he's still not 100%. Do they have enough to get to where they need to be?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a long believer in Jordan Poole. I knew this is what he was going to be when he was in college, that spark, that energy, and this the chemistry that they have. I just think that, it's almost like he's going to be like Steph's heir someday, like or whatever. So I think that with what they have, I mean, Clay does have to step up, though. I will say he has to step up at some point in this series, and I think that that's going to be kind of important too. But with also that with Draymond, you got someone like who's in your face like 24/7 playing defense like that. I think the Warriors, I think they have what it takes outside of Steph, but every player has a key piece into like making it there though.
Oh, 100%. And let's not forget, like you said, I mean, Jordan Poole, when Steph was out, it was a Jordan Poole show in Golden State, right?
Those buzzer beaters, man. I remember them in the days in blue. It's nothing new to us, so it's like, it's just great to see, that third quarter buzzer beater. It's like from half court, like, it just looks flawless between both of them. They make it look so easy.
What's great about Golden State, Lexi, is they never rebuilt. Like that's what's great about that team. Like they won, and everybody thought they were going to be bad for like 4
they
or 5
organically
years.
Built like from the ground up, and that's like what franchises wish they could do. That's what I'm hoping my Pistons are going to be doing here, like in this build coming up. Hey, just give me a break, okay?
Al already gave her the stank eye with this.
Let me have the little hope I have left. All right.
Listen, you need a lot because listen, you got a bad football team already.
Like Golden State. I mean, all franchises do.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about this series. I love watching Jason Tatum. I cry because I wish he was a Philadelphia 76er. I know we had no shot of getting him. Didn't matter. They fleeced us.
Real quick.
Great player.
Can please people stop saying that? We had no shot.
Thank you.
No shot to get Tatum. If I hear somebody post that, tweet it, Facebook it, anywhere, anymore, I'm going to rip somebody's face off. We had no shot. Danny Ainge was not letting us get him. Please.
Al, thank you. You did the jigsaw for me because the uneducated fan, man, we had no chance. No chance. Everybody realized we got fleeced for a reason. What's that, Lexi?
Right. He's a great player, though.
Oh, I love
him play.
Absolutely.
He's so smooth, silky smooth, man. He really is. And I love the way that team is built in Boston. I really do. And again, another former Sixers coach, not saying a word, goes out there to Boston, builds a culture again. But we had to have Doc. So I'm not, Lexi, I don't want to put you on the Sixer spot right now, but I don't.
That for me.
Yeah. We'll let Alf go nuts, and he'll probably yell at me as well. But the interesting news is, to me, last year is Dame going to stay or is Dame going to go in Portland? And we all thought we had a chance at Dame, and unfortunately we didn't. And now it seems like Portland is really ramping up efforts to make him happy and to try to get somebody, possibly a Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal. In your opinion, number one, do you think it's even possible? And number two, would that be the difference? Because he did have CJ McCollum, but these are two different kinds of players. Would that be kind of like the final piece to finally make him relaxed, happy, and be able to compete in Portland?
Yeah, I mean, he's spoken multiple times up until just like a couple months ago how he is just, I'm staying. He's building himself in that community there. I just think he's really trying to build his roots. So I don't see him leaving. I think that he's for sure staying. But yeah, you need that missing piece because he's a great player and deserves to like have, someone good to be with him. So I'm hoping that they make, the right choice, but it seems like they're going that direction. So I'm hoping for him.
I love Dame. It's Dame time. Right? You just
I've always loved him too.
Man, he's such a great player. And you know what? The one thing I always say is sometimes it's not just about the game. It's about the backstory. And if you know Dame's story, the way he still lives with his mom, and he's still a family guy, right? He's still a family guy. His mom lives with him, right? So he's still heavily involved within the community with youth leadership. So he does a ton of work, which I respect the hell out of. So I definitely would love to see him stay in Portland. I would, because I like to see guys just, I don't want to see all this jumping squads and team jumping, and just stay, man. Stay with your squad and try to help them win. Right? Am I right, Lexi? Am I wrong?
For sure. I think a championship almost feels more sweet that way, because you're not just hopping to where you want to win. You're sticking through the hard times and making it there. So I think it'll be better for him.
So I got to ask you this. I will ask you. I will ask you something Sixer related, because a couple weeks ago, Al's going to flip his lid a little bit, but a couple weeks ago I said, because Al was on a cruise, I hope he had a great time. We're glad to have him back. But here's the thing. Joel Embiid is a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, but his limitations is going to be, the injuries, the health, how long can he preserve his body to play? How many primetime years of Joel Embiid do we have? And I didn't like what I saw with the whole Jimmy Butler situation. First of all, I'm a Jimmy lover. I love Jimmy Buckets. I was so mad. I think he was the missing piece to the Sixers team, and they should have never let him go. But that's here nor there. It's afterwards. But knowing that he wants to play with Joe, and Joe wants to play with him, in your mind, outsider, yeah, Al, relax. But do you think?
I don't even like where this is going.
Hold on. Do you think it could get to a point to where Joe is one of those guys? If I says, look, I'm giving it everything. I played injured. I've done it all. I only have a few years left. I need to go somewhere and win, and it's not going to be in Philadelphia. Do you think he would pull one of those Kyrie cards or KD cards, or do you think, in your opinion, he stays in Philadelphia?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Because I feel like sometimes I see the things he tweets and it's like, okay, I don't know if he's joking around or if he's not trying to be serious, but I'm like, wow, are him and Jimmy really going to end up playing together? But I just don't know. I don't know if he just does this to work people up. So I'm unsettled by it too. If I were you guys, I'd be kind of like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? A little uncomfortable there, but I think he'll end up staying. I think he's just trying to, make everyone worked up about, because everyone gets worked up on Twitter when they see anything remotely along those lines. So
he's a master troll.
Exactly. He's the best, one of the best trolls on Twitter, maybe. Yeah. So I think that he ends up staying, but I would be uneasy as a 76ers fan for sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Dan, I mean, we talked about this, man.
Stop it.
Listen, I'm keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real, man.
Alan, while you were cruising on Norwegian, whichever line you were on, I did a quick take on this topic because Tony stirred the pot in my head. The hamster wheel started to move.
Of course he did.
Yeah, he did. and I was thinking, what potential return could you even ponder if you preemptively move him if he starts to show that he's unhappy? And there's no package from Miami that would suit me or make me happy. None.
Zero.
So then I kind of tinkered with a Cat and Anthony Edwards scenario in Minnesota.
Interesting.
And I did a quick take on JoJo and Thibault. Huh?
You couldn't. Well, they would never do both.
No, I was throwing in Thibault and other little capital.
Hypothetical, Al.
A hypothetical. JoJo and Thibault.
You could get Cat and Anthony Edwards. Jesus. Woo.
For Thibault, Maxey, and JoJo.
Wow. I mean, you changing the whole team over?
Well, where they going now?
That's my issue, man. That's my issue. Just throwing it out there.
But it has to be a massive...
I'll have to think about that. But Anthony Edwards and Cat, that's a nice package.
I mean, that's the only thing I can
real
think.
Nice package.
But,
now,
I mean, really, what other direction do you go?
What'd you say?
What other direction can you go? I'm just trying to think of packages out there that would be viable or somewhat, palpable to the public. We don't want another Charles Barkley type trade where we get garbage.
And Morey wouldn't let anything like that happen. Now, in this hypothetical space we're in, I can't see that anytime soon. He loves Philly. So if he got frustrated, it would have to be 4 or 5 years from now. We never got past round 2. That would be his frustration. We can't get past round 2, and I want to win. I'm tired of sitting here, and we can't get past round 2. I'm done. That's what I can see. Not 2 years from now. I don't know. The years would start mounting up. I don't know. I can't see it right now because he loves it here. He has always said he loves it here. So
I get it.
And he says he wants to win it here.
But it's a concern. It's a legitimate concern. That's all I'm saying. It's a legitimate concern. So let me.
I get you that.
Yeah, it's legitimate. So Lexi, I have a fun question here because I like to come up with fun scenarios and say, hey, if you were a GM. So Lexi's a GM. You're the GM of your hometown boys. You're GM of the Detroit Pistons, and you're starting a franchise. And you could pick one player under the age of 25 to build around. And who is that player? Is it going to be? I know who Al was, but is it going to be a guy like Giannis? Is it going to be a guy like Luka Doncic? Is it going to be who's that one player that's going to be your cornerstone of your franchise?
I mean, I love Giannis. Let's just be honest. The guy's unbelievable in every mark of the way. But part of me, I'm not gonna lie, is feeling a little biased that I say that I think that Cade is going to be a lot of the future, and I love that my team's being built. Let's just say that. But Giannis for sure, he would be my like pick if you're going to give me established, shown, where you're confident and that's who you want to build 100%. But I'm telling you, just mark my words and just wait. I think
give it to you. So what do you got? You talk about Cade. Talk it up. Let's hear it. I want to hear this, man.
I mean, he's so poised for being so young, and I think that a lot of his maturity has come from the people that are in his life, the support he has in his life, and just the mentality of the game. When you watch him, he's just so methodical, and he's so just sometimes makes those passes. You're like, wow, that's like some guy that would be like 4 or 5 years in the league. Yes, he still has areas he has to work on, and yes, we still need to get maybe another piece in here to really start making some moves here, and fighting for the playoff spot. But he's just so smart. He's humble. He's not a guy that needs to go out of his way. He just wants to work, and he works nonstop. And it just is his actions and his aura just of who he is. I feel like it's just meant for Detroit. Just that gritty, hardworking, came here to win something, and he wants to prove it. And I think the path is laying for him as long as Troy Weaver, is leading the way. And I think that it's going to be coming up pretty good. I'm excited.
I like that. I can't wait.
What do you think he needs to work on?
I think really a lot of it is just being the turnover is for sure, but he can't always be making all shots. You know what I mean? So I think that what he needs is someone that's going to give him space. You know what I mean? So he can be triple teamed, double teamed, or whatever, and he can kick it out to somebody and it not be where he doesn't have no one to go to. I think that's going to be a huge thing, but it's just also just the mentality of it, that leading the team and kind of keeping his composure and not turning over the ball is going to be key points to that. So.
I can't wait to rewind this back. We see the Cade show next year. We're going to rewind this back.
And I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight.
No, I like it.
This guy has a lot of potential, and his ceiling is very high. So
Lexi, one thing I've always said on this show, and we talked about NBA, and Dan knows this, Alice is, I feel like I'm very blessed to be able. You see the jerseys that hang on my back, right? So I've been able to watch the prime years of guys like Jordan and Kobe and AI. Happy birthday, AI! We'll get to that later. But also, the NBA is in such good hands right now. There's so much young talent, and that brings me to this. Because I know we're just getting started early in our sports relationship here, Lexi, but I was this huge Ja guy. Al knows where I'm going. I told everybody, do not draft Zion. You have to take Ja. And Twitterverse went nuts, called Jigsaw a knucklehead. I don't know what I'm talking about. You can't market him. You can't pay him. And at the end of the day, look where we're at right now. And I understand that Zion is hurt. I get it. And he got hurt. And I don't want to say how, but attitude is a big deal. Yeah. Willingness to be able to be in shape is a big deal. And today's NBA that's set by the point guard position is a big deal. So, Lexi, I have to ask you, now, Zion, Ja, where's your stance?
Ja, for sure. I mean, I think that it's not even a question. I love watching him too. I'm just so excited for the future of the NBA because there's so many great players with so many different personalities, and it's going to be great to watch. So
It
Oh
really
yeah, for
is.
sure. I'd be bragging about that too because like Ja is incredible. I don't think a lot of people expected him to have such a high ceiling in this season, and so I think it's pretty crazy though.
Well, one thing you'll learn about me, I don't like to brag, so don't worry, you won't hear that much. But nah, you know what it is? I get killed so much, right?
I carry
take
my
wins.
W's just like I carry my L's, loud and proud. I'll take it.
I love that. Carry my W's like I carry my L's. I like that because I ain't afraid to spit no truth either. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I say I'm wrong, right? It is what it is. Lexi, I'm gonna let you get out of here. Listen, I make sure you go follow at Go Blue Lexi 117. I appreciate you hopping on. We'll make this a weekly thing. We're gonna see a lot more of you doing much love out there for the city, the Motown city of Detroit, which I love. You have a great night. You have a great night. I'll see you later.
Take care, Lexi.
Bye.
Cade Cunningham. I love it. I love it. I'll tell you what, I played him on DFS like it was crazy. He was a DFS monster. He just put points up, assists, threes, points, you name it. But I love it. I love how she admits what he's got to work on. But that whole segment with Lexi, the best was I talk my W's like I talk my L's. I love that. We're gonna make a shirt like that for Lexi. I absolutely love that. You have no idea. I really love that. But let's talk about this, fellas. Let's that was the NBA. Now we'll get to a little NBA when it comes to the Sixers here. But I want to start doing some different things on the show, and you people as you follow us along, I want to start highlighting everybody on the show. We're going to have, obviously, you see Dan does his quick takes, and Al's drumming something off once we get his equipment working, which we will, because he's very boisterous. He's boisterous with the keyboard, but I want him to be boisterous with the microphone, which he will. So he'll drive his segment, and you always know that I have the final judgment. And I want to bring that up because I mentioned this today, boys, that certain things when I do the final judgments, they're premeditated, or is just something that catch my eye, right? So obviously, when we talk about the steroids era, I'm a whole pro, put them in a Hall of Fame, all that stuff. And one thing that really gets under my crawl is the Pete Rose thing. And I know people are against it, people are for it. I know it's getting really long in the tooth right now. But the reason why I bring it up is because you see the story with Phil Mickelson, and animately, voluntarily admits that not only was he reckless, but he was uncontrollable to the he knew he had an addiction. He went he sought out the help. God bless him, right? Gets the help that he deserves. He comes back, and then he gets a chance. He's in the Live Invitational, gets to swing a golf club again. Calvin Ridley admittedly bets on fantasy football, on players, right? He bets on games. He gets suspended indefinitely. I guarantee you he'll be back in the NFL. And the reason why I say this is, but again, Pete Rose can't get a play. Pete Rose, all-time hits leader, can't get a play. I mean, how long does Pete Rose have to suffer? We're watching everybody else getting a second chance. Everybody.
Well, except for the other guys, the steroid dudes. They can't get play.
They will.
But I get your point.
They will. Because here's the thing. Barry Bonds, listen, pardon the pun here or the term, but listen, I think we can all agree. Dude got blackballed, man. I'm telling you. Because they didn't like his attitude. They didn't like that he was sometimes a problem in the clubhouse. He was very vocal about issues that they didn't want to talk about. So they basically washed him away. They want nothing to do with Barry Bonds. And Pete Rose, honestly, okay, I know he bet on the game, and I get it. It's a mortal sin. I understand. Damn, but you can't you can't give other people an opportunity, and this dude's still sitting there, and he can't get Cooperstown. I mean, Dan, am I nuts?
You're not nuts, but I've wavered with this for years because, again, I hate to keep throwing my nickname into every topic.
Adam, what's up, buddy?
Adam, how you doing? So the old school in me, I started watching baseball when Pete Rose was on the Reds before he became a Philly. I watched his greatness because I'm a little older than you guys. But I was always trained, even before the Pete Rose incident happened, having a historical background with all the sports that I follow, the 1919 Black Sox scandal. And because of that scandal, there's a big sign that if you bet on the sport of baseball, you will be banned for life. It's not if you bet on the horses. It's not if you bet on fantasy football. If you bet on the sport of baseball, you will be banned for life. And that's what he did. He spit in the eye of the Holy Grail. And from that perspective, you don't have to compare baseball to other sports. They are holding their standards to their standards. People still want Joe Jackson in the Hall of Fame, and that was from 1919, that scandal.
Wow.
So, what about Joe Jackson? So the MLB is holding firm. And from what I understand, when Fay Vincent was the commissioner, when all this was taking place, he was convinced that the reason A. Bartlett Giamatti passed away of a heart attack was the stress he was dealing with the whole Pete Rose issue during the end of his tenure. And I think Pete Rose had a chance to have some contrition, and he lied, and he was caught with so much stuff that hasn't been revealed that he was guilty of, that he's just constantly lying about. So that's part of the problem.
But
obviously the historical numbers he puts up, and that part of it has nothing to do with betting.
No,
he had over 4,000 hits.
Right.
He played the most games in the history of baseball.
But
so I get that. And Ty Cobb was a stone cold racist, and he abused people. So where do you draw the line?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing though, and I'm not trying to mix sports, but my other point of this is not just the gambling part of it, but how about we're watching players in the NFL, scumbags that have been beating wives and beating kids,
every sport,
but it's okay.
No,
we'll let them in. Well, we're good. Go ahead, man. Make your millions of dollars. But Pete Rose can't get in the Hall of Fame. You could smack your girlfriend, right? You could punch your kid in the face. You could be a racist jerk off as much as you want. But Pete Rose, he bet. I know more, but he can't get in. That's my issue. Like it's not all the same, Al. It's not, and it's not a level playing field here.
That's true. Am I correct in saying about 10 years ago, they came to him and asked him to tell us right now, and he still refused, and that's part of the problem? Wasn't it a one period that
was a contrition I was talking about, but I think it was even longer than 10 years ago.
That they were saying, all right, tell us right now, and we'll figure something out. And he still denied it. He still said no, and that was his opportunity right there. Come clean, and then maybe 10 years from now, or however long it was, maybe we wouldn't be still having this conversation, because everybody would say, all right, enough is enough. Let's let him in. Am I correct in that?
I don't know. Yeah, you're correct in that he had that type of opportunity, but I think it was even longer than 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and I totally get your point, Tone. I mean, how do you separate violence from gambling?
Yeah.
I get it. And it's a societal thing as well. I mean, I don't want to get political, but we have people on both sides of the gun violence fence, the women's right to choose side of the fence. Like, where do you draw the line? And in baseball, is trying to draw the line that we established gambling was the no. And obviously, I don't think they anticipated that there would be people like Adubel Herrera, Familia, and other people that are currently in Phillies. And back in the day, Brett Myers, right? All guys that were caught abusing their spouses. So it's if you make it as simple as, is gambling as bad as beating a woman? Of course not.
Right.
I get that. If you want to make it that simple, it's mind-boggling.
I think it is. I I think it is that simple.
I
That's
know.
my issue.
Well, there should be, instead of a sign, no gambling on baseball, there should be you must have good moral and fiber to play this game. You know, something to that effect. You know, it's got to be a moral and ethical code that is in our sports. And let's face it, Tone, a lot of the people that you reference, they're all superstars. I guarantee you, if Boston Scott beat someone in the lobby, we'd never see him again.
Yeah, but that's not always true, though, right?
What was the guy? What was the guy that beat his wife, hit his wife in the AC elevator?
Ray Rice. Rice.
Right.
He was a
Ray
pretty
Rice.
yeah.
He never got back in.
No, but he was an
never
elite
let him
player.
back.
But Joe Mixon can beat his girl senseless in a pizza shop as a rookie, but he can still play.
That's the one guy that was caught on video that you're surprised
right.
got back so easily. Kareem Hunt too.
Like it
Everyone
never
forgets
happened.
Kareem Hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get past any of that. It's just hard. I have a hard stance against all that, and it's just hard for me professionally and humanly to get past that. I just can't.
The only thing, and I get you real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt, gentlemen. The one thing that I will say that holds a little water with me is that God rest his soul, the great Joe Morgan, who is a longtime teammate of Pete Rose, did not want him in the Hall of Fame. I don't believe Johnny Bench wants him in the Hall of Fame.
I get it.
So I think there's things
it's like
that we
guys don't want the steroids guys in there. I understand.
Right, but I think there's things that we just don't know about how bad it was. And like Al said earlier, his unwillingness to admit to anything.
Yeah, I forgot what I was about to say that fast.
Sorry,
you'll remember. But let's get off of that. We beat a dead horse enough with that. I just said again, if it's good for one, it should be good for all. And go ahead, you figure it out.
The world is built on second chances. So, if you're saying all of these people, I mean, we mentioned a lot of people already in different facets, whether it's hitting your wife, doing this, doing that, doing that, doing that. I know singers that have committed homicide with cars. I mean, all types of things, and they came back. So if the world is built on second chances, it just makes your point even better.
Nah, you're right. Amen to that. Amen to that. Let's have a little football talk in here before we start talking top five, because we're gonna have some fun with this top five thing, because I think some people are gonna be a little surprised at my top five. Everybody knows I have to go against the grain a little bit, but they're probably gonna be good with 4 out of 5, but the fifth one they're probably like, what? Because I don't think they just realize how great this athlete is. But AFC East, we're gonna talk a little football. We're not gonna talk Eagles. Okay, we got a lot of time to talk Eagles. Okay, which we are excited for. We got a lot of time to talk Eagles. So, we're trying to get a little different. I want to break this down again. Make sure you're following us at Heat Ratio Sports. At Heat Ratio Sports on everything in social format is Heat Ratio Sports. I'll tell you that right now. Just give us a follow. Give us a shout out if you want to talk. Let's talk. You want to interject. You want to be a guest on the show. Come on. I say, and again, I see you out there watching, Chuck. All right, so Chuck, you got an open invitation. I'm just gonna throw it out there. So Chuck, I don't know if you're still watching, but I love you, man. Like
Chuck from Mount Airy.
Chuck Baylor has been following me for probably about 5 to 7 years, and I can tell you right now that whether I was at PhillyInfluencer.com or I'm at Heat Ratio Sports, if I post something. If I say it's going to snow, Chuck's going to tell me it's going to be sunny and 70 degrees, right? And but I love him, man. Like, he brings it, man. Like, he brings it. Like, I posted something a couple of weeks ago, man, and he just let me have it. And then I comment back, and man, he gives me again, man. I love it. I love it. But at the end of the day, guess what? At the end of the day, we got a mutual respect. We're all good. He's a great sports fan, avid follower. Chuck, we love you, man. So if you ever Chuck, if you want to come on, man, you let me know, and we'll get you on this quad box right here. We'll throw you up here to get your opinions heard. But let's talk a little NFL. Let's talk a little AFC East. I want to every week break down a different division, talk a little number futures, talk a little what's going on, what do we see, and fellas, this is going to be a very interesting division this year, because again, what happened with the Miami Dolphins, right? So it's all about what happened with the Miami Dolphins. So those guys trying to go for it on the offensive side of the ball and have a really good defense as well. People forget about that. They still have a good defense. But the question is this going to be the year that Buffalo goes to the big dance? Is this going to be the year that Buffalo just goes all the way? Obviously, they won a division last year, and I really think they're going to win a division this year. But when you're looking at it, and again, we'll look at the future sponsored by DraftKings, as always, sitting here right off the bat, and you got minus 225 for the Bills, which obviously they think they're the favorite, which they should be the favorite. Miami at plus 450, New England at plus 500, and the Jets at plus 2,200. They'll get there one day. But Dan, is there any doubt in your mind that the Buffalo Bills take this division? And within this whole division, what's the biggest thing that comes to your mind to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to watch for this year?
I think the Bills remind me to some extent, without getting to the AFC Championship consistently, as those Andy Reid Eagle teams. They were just so close, but they just couldn't kick the door in. No, I have no doubt they win the division. But I will say this: I do believe the Dolphins kind of have a Eagles parallel, with the big question mark being Tua and Jalen. I do like the talent on the Dolphins, and obviously putting Hill with Waddle is pretty scary. But Tua, if you believe in Tua, then the Dolphins can potentially be a threat to the Bills, but I don't think a threat to win the division. And then I go a step closer and I say that I think that the Patriots are on the descend. I didn't like their draft whatsoever. I know Belichick knows more than 90% of the people in the room, but the draft was pretty perplexing. And I think the Jets had an amazing draft. And if they can build around a quarterback with a strong throwing arm, they like you said, they're not there yet. But I'm telling you, I have both the Bills and the Dolphins as double-digit winning teams, and I have the Pats and Jets in the 7-8 game win range. That's how I have it. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. Yeah. But I love the Jets draft. Loved it.
The Jets had a really good draft. Joe Douglas had a good draft, dude. He had a good draft. You say what you want. He had a good draft. So yeah, they're definitely on the up and coming. They're probably a couple years away. They get Zach Wilson right. I love Robert Saleh. I do. We talked earlier about, we started this with the Phillies talking about the different energy, and I'll tell you what, man, I don't think anybody has more energy than Robert Saleh in the NFL. You say what you want, but Al, your thoughts, man. AFC East is, if you're laying the money out there, are you laying that minus 225 on the Bills, or are you taking any long shots at plus 450 on the Miami Dolphins?
No. They're going to win the division. They're going to win the division, but I wouldn't say it's going to be easy. I have no doubt in my mind that, yes, New England, does anybody know what the hell they're doing in the draft? But he's still Bill Belichick, dude. He's going to figure something out, and they're going to be pretty tough this year. I think they retooled enough and got some pieces, and he's going to make sure that they're better this year. Miami is, you're right. I mean, they're right on our level as far as they have a lot of talent, but can the quarterback do what he needs to do to get them to the level that they need to go to? So I think they're going to win their fair share. And then can Tua just stay healthy? Well, it's actually two things. Can Tua stay healthy, and can Tua perform on the field? So they got two things. At least we ain't got to worry about Hurts being hurt. We just got to worry about can he perform? Yeah, knock on wood anyway.
That's true.
So and then the Jets, I think, are going to start surprising some people. They might sneak a couple more wins than everybody thought that they were going to do before. You know how they win, like you automatically say, oh, they're going to only win 3 or 4 games. Well, maybe not this year. Maybe might step up to 5, 6, 7 in that range. Still not be great, but give you more than they've been giving you. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk at all. But I do expect them to win the division and at the end. And I don't know, dude. AFC is. Whoo, I mean, I can't. I just forget about the Eagles right now. The AFC in general. I can't wait to watch AFC games this season. It's going to be ridiculous. You got the Raiders and the Broncos and Dolphins retooled. This person, this person, this. Everybody is ready, stockpile with talent everywhere, both sides of the ball. So if the Bills think that they're just going to walk through the AFC like they did last year, how many losses did they have last year? 3?
Bills?
4?
6.
Oh, they had 6? Okay.
11
so
and 6.
Even if they think it's going to be 6, they might. I'm telling you, it's just not going to be a cakewalk for them. So, and then they got the hardest schedule. I just think they're going to win it, but it's just not going to be easy.
No, I like it. I'm so good, Dan.
No, I was going to say, like, to both your points, when the Patriots for it seemed like 15 straight years were just dominating that division. Yeah, they had a few hiccup years where the Jets always were a thorn in their side, and then you had those stages where the Dolphins were a thorn in their side. But generally, they had 6 guaranteed victories every year in their division because it was a shitty division. It's not, as we've just touched on it, it's not going to be, it's the Bills' turn to be the dominant team in the division, but there's no guaranteed 6 victories anymore.
Yeah.
As we've just discussed. The Patriots, as Al said, will they find a way? Perhaps. I'm thinking they're kind of on a decline, but I still believe, to Al's point, they'll find a way to make noise. We just talked about the Jets draft and Saleh as a coach and their future. And I think we're all believing that the Dolphins will be an above 500 team. So there's no slam dunk victories like there was when the Patriots dominated that division for year after year.
Which nobody mentions, by the way. They always talk about how good Tom Brady had, how many victories did he have automatically done in the division every single year.
Yeah, if you switch Cincinnati with New England and put New England in with Pittsburgh and Baltimore all those years, I don't think they would have had as many championships, do you?
Right. Home field advantage and all that stuff that they had because they had a guarantee, 4 or 5 victories every year?
Yeah, 5 to
already
6,
in the bag before the schedule came out.
All right, man. I mean, listen, it's like in baseball with the Braves and the NL East. I mean, in the National League, how many times they just gonna win out? I mean, it's the same thing, man. It's a shame because sometimes the teams lose a little luster to people that don't follow sports every day because everybody's again, but they don't understand how great it actually is. But listen, guys, I'm looking forward to this because football is only 90 plus days away, man. It's 90 plus days away. Can't wait to get talking this week. Last week, on Sirius Sunday, we had 2 great guests. We had Jake, we had Andy. Andy Herman covers the Green Bay Packers. Jake covers the LA Rams. And I'll tell you what, I got to tell you this, guys. This is a good one, man. This is a good one. So the best part about having that guest, and again, make sure you're following me on Sunday nights on 11-2 on Sirius Fantasy Sports Radio. We got some really good guests that come on. So Jake Ellenbogen, okay, Jake Ellenbogen. He's a great follow. If you want to follow him, give him a follow at JK Bogen, Bogen. He covers the Rams. He's all over it. He said he made a hot take, and I love it. He said Al Robinson would lead the league in receiving yards this year, right? He said he would not be shocked, right? Now, he had a good premise by saying it. Like he was talking about, look, before OBJ was hurt, and if he could have stayed healthy once he came over and once he came to that team, he was getting all the play, right? So, Cooper Kupp being that tremendous receiver, who has been that other guy that Al Robinson has had over the last few years? Nobody, right? It's been a Rob or bust, right? So pretty good information there. And then the other thing that I love, we had Andy Herman on at Andy Herman NFL. Give him a follow too. The Pack a Day podcast. He does great work on YouTube as well. He said, because I was like, from a fantasy sports perspective, who's going to be the number one wide receiver in Green Bay? And he said, I hate to break all the fantasy players out there, but it's going to be nobody. It's going to be consistent. One game it may be Lazard with 5 catches, then Sammy Watkins, then it could be Robert Tonyan. They like the rookies out there. But here's one interesting caveat, then we'll move on because I can't wait. Fantasy Fry Box will be back. We're going to bring our boy John back into the fray to get some football talk going on the weekends. But A.J. Dillon out-carried Aaron Jones last year. And if you don't look, you wouldn't know. 187 to 171. And I asked Andy about that, and he said, you know what? Probably looked even that split's even going to get farther. And that's pretty amazing to me. Right? Well, here's the good point about that, right? Aaron Jones is a hell of a receiver, out of the backfield. So if you lose your best guy, Devontae Adams, how do you cover that up? The best way you do, your best receiver is probably Aaron Jones, right? So you're going to see a lot of A.J. Dillon in there. You're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones on the wing and, out in the flat. So just a little private football talk that will continue to go. But we're gonna get into this fun segment to end this show when we talk about the top 5 athletes of all time. Again, I've talked about this before. I want to do it again. We had a really, really fun time before when it was me, Mike, Dave, and John. We had a 4-person draft. It was 4 rounds, and it was only baseball, and we had to pick our players. It was a snake draft. There was no order of who we had to pick. We were just picking our best players to a draft. And I want to do that here on HRS as well. We're going to pick a sport. We're going to do one every week and do it with so much fun. But this is encapsulating everything. And this came because my boy Jake, who I just talked about, and I got to go to it. I will give you, Jake, I got to give him credit because this is where I got the concept from. He tweeted out top 5 athletes of all time. And when I looked at this list, boys, I was a little concerned. Like actually had to ask Jake if he was okay, because I was thinking like, wait a minute. All right. I'm not too sure if I agree with it, but again, it's everybody's opinion. And again, there's no specific sport. So Jake tweets out my top 5 greatest athletes of all time. Now, I don't have any order, but I'm going to tell you the order of Jake. 1, LeBron James. 2, Wayne Gretzky. 3, Tiger Woods. 4, Barry Bonds. 5, Aaron Donald. So, again, now he prefaces and says, all depends on how you translate athlete. For me, it's athleticism and dominance. These are my top 5. So I don't want to pick apart Jake's list. Just give you an idea where this concept came from. So I was like, you know what? We got to do this because I think we'll get some interesting picks here. So Dan, right off the top left-hand corner here, top 5 athletes of all time. Doesn't have to be in order. Just curious, who are your top 5 guys?
Well, just to support your buddy's list to some extent, if I did that quick take comparing Gretzky to Jordan, and even Al saw my side of things a little bit based on the statistical dominance. So I get where he was going with that, but I didn't go with statistical dominance. I went with athleticism. That's that's where I went. And I guess we won't say in no particular order, but here's what here's my list. Bo Jackson.
Bo knows Bo.
And this might be a sleeper for some people, but I went Dave Winfield.
Whoa, what?
Listen, Dave Winfield was drafted by
what?
Dave Winfield was drafted by 4 leagues.
What?
Dave Winfield is a baseball Hall of Famer. He was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks of the NBA, the Utah Stars of the ABA, and the Minnesota Vikings of the NFL. He was drafted in 4 leagues. He was a beast of an athlete. Michael Jordan, I have. Deion Sanders, I have. And I have Michael Vick.
Wow. So I like this. Let's. So Dan, you have this written down. We're gonna tweet this out later from the show. Who your top 5? So you go Bo, you go Dave Winfield.
Yes.
Right. You go. Go ahead. Give me
Michael Jordan, Deion Sanders, and Michael Vick.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Now, Al, I'm excited, Al, because now I got to hear your top 5, man. I'm shocked at Dave Winfield. I gotta tell you. of all. Like, if I'm going baseball, like Dave Winfield, like I'm going the kid. I mean, I'm going Barry Bonds over Dave Winfield. That's just me. But you're a historian. I give it to you. So you are.
He was a 6'6" athletic big man.
Yeah, no, hey man, that's why we all got opinions, man. I love it. Al, top 5. Who you got, bro?
Well, you got to go my boy first, LeBron. No order.
Yeah, no
MJ.
order.
You got to go Deion Sanders. Like, duh.
Sport athlete, man.
Yeah. And then you got to go right behind them, Bo Jackson. I mean, they both did like ridiculous things where you could play both sports like that. And I'm still upset that Bo got hurt, that hit. Man, I wanted to see what he could turn into doing both sports. That would have been ridiculous. That hit, and then I'm thinking that hit now, he could have survived and came back.
Yep.
Just it was that far back, and you couldn't survive that type of thing back then. But now people replace hips like arms. It's like it's no big deal. You got a hip replacement and then came back. It would have took a little long, but you could have came back. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my last was Michael Vick.
So we have almost the same lineup there, Al.
Yeah,
wow.
You have LeBron, I have Dave Winfield. Everything else is the same.
Here's what's crazy to me, though. So Dan has no hockey. The hockey guys got no hockey guys.
Well, I went athleticism. I didn't go for statistical greatness. I don't see Wayne Gretzky lighting it up on the basketball court or on the baseball field. Do you know what I'm saying? All the guys I picked, I could see just dominating any sport they play.
For me, athleticism, yes, I get. But if you're a top athlete, bro, you dominate the game. Okay, so for me, it's all about dominance. Yes, I understand that athleticism has a lot to do with it, but it's about dominance. How have you?
Gretzky's on Tony's list,
right? So Tony Jigsaw Cotillo's top 5 here. Okay, is how Tiger Woods is not on anybody's list.
I have him here. Okay? I do have him here, but I decided to take him off.
The guy, there's a reason why he's on 21 Sports Illustrated covers on my poster right there. Okay, the dude was that great, and if he doesn't get hooked to porn stars and over speeds and alcohol, I'm just saying, man, it is what it is. So if he was swinging the right club, he would have been good. So Michael Jordan, obviously, MJ, his airness, greatness, and no LeBron is not on the list. Wayne Gretzky, to me, listen, dominance, dominated the game. Oh, Al, I told you listen, he had Winfield. You're going to get my curveball, and I got some stats for it, too, because I got to give it to you. Now, I was tossed up.
I know who your curveball is. I'm going to guess it.
No, you're not. They're not guessing it. Not fair. So, I'm tossed up because I can give my curveball last, but I'm tossed up between Brady and Muhammad Ali. Okay, because again, dominance, right? My list is about dominance. So Brady with the rings, Muhammad Ali, the record speaks for itself. The dominance of the sport of boxing speaks for itself. But my wild card, who might quite possibly, I'm going to say this: if I was ranking these athletes, this person would be top 3, and they are not talked enough about. And again, I know Dan. I don't think you can really.
Does he have one name?
One name?
Yeah, goes by one name.
No.
Okay, then it's not who I thought it was.
Who were you? Tell me who you were thinking of.
Pele.
Oh no, I wasn't going soccer. You were talking about that with that soccer coach, right? You were thinking because I was a soccer coach.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Okay, but here's what I will tell you. This person is not a male. Okay,
Serena.
It is not a male. Okay, so Dan got it right on the bat. Let me tell you something. If you tell me that Serena Williams is not in your top 5 athletes of all time, you got to be on something. Okay, and that's just
she was
listen, right. And I'm not. And again, I'm not saying you're an idiot or anything like that. But all I'm saying is, if you just look at what she was able to do. And again, here comes the athleticism versus dominance. I understand that. Okay. But you have to look at what she was able to do and what she's been done at her age, right? At her age. And I think a lot of this is because, number one, that she did not play a sport that's nationally televised all the time, right? But 23 Grand Slam titles, 23 Grand Slams, dude. I mean, let me just tell you something. I don't think anybody understands how unbelievable that was. 23 Grand Slam champions, right? 14 in doubles, 2 in mixed, most by any active player, and the third most in the open era. 4 Olympic gold medals. Listen, the list goes on and on from Serena. Okay. And this is where we're in an age right now where we're talking about gender equality when we talk about sports. And goddamn, now I hope we get a WNBA team for Philadelphia. I think it'll be amazing.
I've been thinking that all season.
Be amazing.
I would love a WNBA team here.
And we're getting credentialed, and we're going to cover that.
And I think we'll get supported.
I'm telling you, man. Well, they're in the running. They're in the running. And, you know, you bring Dawn Staley over to coach that team, man. Right? I'm in. But again, it's just all public bulletin, all points bulletin out there from Tony Jigsaw Gatillo to all you sports fans out there. Please, when you're doing your lists and you're teaching your kids the world of sports, can we please mention the name Serena Williams and go back? I understand it's tennis, okay? But she might quite possibly be the most dominant athlete of all time.
Nobody's breaking all those records.
Nobody. Right? I mean,
absolute beast.
Dude. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yes. I can't. I don't know what else to say about it. And you know, I do go back. I was an avid tennis watcher back in the day. I really was. I loved watching Agassi and McEnroe. I love watching Steffi Graf and Monica Seles. I loved watching them on the clay. And I watched Serena play. And I don't know how you cannot take what she does, you know, and dominate and just say, you know what, she's not the most dominant athlete of all time. And I get it. You know, I get it. We could have this argument, and it's great that we have all these names that we were able to watch. I just think that she does not get put on lists far too often. Her name is not mentioned when we talk about greatest athletes because she is a woman and because she plays tennis. So people gotta recognize, man. People gotta recognize.
I mean, people were scared to play her because she just would dominate you so badly, humiliate people out there. It wouldn't even be close.
Wouldn't even be close. I would have loved, you know, how like Al, we're wrestling guys, you know how they intergender tag matches. I'd like to see her go just intergender tennis, man. Just go right through the men's division because she was that good, man.
I mean, power alone, people were scared of her power. And you know what, the movie that they did with Will Smith. That wasn't even that because he did it in their young stage. That really didn't describe what she turned into because they more focused on Venus in the early stage. So they really didn't focus on her like they should. They could have if they would have did an older version. So they didn't really. They said, "Oh, she turned into this, then, and that," but they didn't really tell you how dominant she was in her sport. Like it's nasty. Actually, it's very nasty.
It's a hard topic to discuss because, like you said, like if we literally said the most dominant athlete of all time, then Bo Jackson, Dion probably come off my list because there's no titles per se, right?
Right.
And then you have to even consider someone like a Michael Phelps.
Yeah, you know? He's another guy.
And if there wasn't blood doping, you'd have to go with
Lance Armstrong.
There's so many athletes that just did things that you marvel at.
You do.
And Serena, of course, is indeed one of them.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But again, Heat Ratio Sports is where you follow us. We like to have these fun topics. We're going to get more of these fun topics. They get the conversation going. Just we have to look at these things because we are absolutely blessed when it comes to the world of sports. Yes, we are Philly, but we talk everything else as well. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Smash the like button, man. Lexi, we want to thank. Make sure you're giving a follow. Make sure you follow her on Twitter. Go Lexi. Go Blue Lexi 117. And again, for everybody checking in, much appreciated. Much appreciated. And we're going to get more of this. We have more guests. We're going to have more interaction, more different types of segments. I can't wait. Listen, I think my favorite thing, like we all love the stats that my man Old School brings, and I know everybody likes the conviction of the way Jigsaw be taking out points, but man, I just got to hear Al yelling on a microphone, man. I can't wait. I can't wait till we get this going, man. It's going to be fun, man. It is going to be fun. Like nobody else. Just out. No freeze framing. Just yelling, screaming, bringing it, man. I love it.
They'll call the show "Hold Your Ears."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you know what? I do want to say one last thing before we get out of here. And Dan, you're gonna have no idea what we're talking about, but that's okay. Al's gonna know what I'm talking because this is a wrestling thing. Okay.
I know old school wrestling stuff.
No, but this is new school.
I know nothing.
Let me tell you something. For shout out to Cody Rhodes. And listen.
Dude, that was crazy.
Crazy.
When he took off his jacket, I was like, what in the hell is he doing out there?
That is a legit injury. Okay. When you tear your pec off the bone.
You know what? I only seen that one other time. Didn't Triple H have the same thing?
And John Cena.
Yeah.
Both of them.
That was towards the end of the match. You didn't walk into the match with it. That happened during the match.
I saw Triple H rip his quad off the bone.
During the match, right?
During the match.
Right,
yes.
Right.
That's a sign of
yeah. Oh, I know.
Dude, I looked that up. He's out for close to a year.
That's gotta be so painful.
That's gonna be a year.
No, he's not out a year. No.
You don't think it's a year injury?
No.
What do you think?
I say he's back in 3 months.
3 months?
John Cena did it. Cena, I'm telling you. Yes. And the reason why I bring this up is because I am a huge wrestling fan. And I would listen, do any wrestling fans out there? Let me know. Hit us up. I'd love to get a wrestling show here on HRS because I love wrestling and I think that the audience loves wrestling as well. And I've been through the Stone Cold era. I've been through The Rock. I've watched CM Punk. God damn it. I loved every minute MJF, what he did. If everybody doesn't know that, just Google MJF AEW and you'll see one of the best promos of all time, work or not. But Cody Rhodes has really showed me that he is the next prodigal son of Vince McMahon. Like this is going to be the next John Cena. Like he is the next John Cena. He is the guy that's going to sell out all the arenas. He is the guy that's going to sell all the shirts. It's not Roman Reigns. It is Cody Rhodes. Mark my words.
Is he Dusty's son?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, he is. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. It is his son, son of a plumber. Right. So, I
couldn't believe that when he took that off. I was just like, "What are you doing, my man?"
He's built better than his father. Yeah.
Oh
what was that? At least 40 minutes, right? Then wasn't that match at least 40 minutes?
Hell in a Cell, man. Hell in a Cell.
I thought, when I first started, all right. So he took off his jacket. All right. When somebody's hurt, they do a little quickie. That's what I thought it was going to be.
So did I.
And then he did 40 minutes or roundabout. I'm like, he stayed in there that long?
40 minutes.
Adrenaline, I guess.
Crazy.
Yep. Yeah, he came. Listen, he came on Raw last night. Said he's going to be at Money in the Bank in July. So I don't know how that works, but we shall.
You know what? You know why you know that information? Because I didn't watch. I didn't watch it yet. I was watching on my DVR.
See, there you go. See,
I didn't see it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. No spoiler alert. I apologize. but now listen, as always, again, seriously, if you want to talk wrestling, hit us up, man. I'd love to have a wrestling show on here. I just think that certain things like that I watch, and I think they need to be highlighted because it is something special, man. You are witnessing greatness. But as always, for Dan, for Tony, for Al, thanks for everybody checking in. Nick, I hope you're having a tremendous 18 holes out there. We'll see what his score is when he gets back next week. But as always, Heat Ratio Sports, YouTube, Heat Ratio Sports, iTunes. If you're hitting us up on iTunes, trying to get the podcast thing going again, not everybody wants to watch live video. We get it. So you can get us on Spotify, on iTunes. The podcast is there. You can listen while you're in the gym, you're walking the dog, you're listening out back. Whenever you are, give us a listen, give us a review. We greatly appreciate for everybody checking in. I seen the people checking in. Adam, as always, much appreciated. A lot of love. I know, Chuck, I saw you, didn't comment, but I saw you. Chuck. Joe, checking in. As always, we much appreciate it. And as always, to the rest of the audience as well that'll watch us on replay. So, again, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you back here next Tuesday.